most underrated car that you can think of?
Recently, I've been feeling like the Dodge Neon SRT4. I feel like those cars get a lot of hate, they get no love, and they're usually just beat up. What is the most overhyped platform to you?
Damn. So all DSMs. No.
Okay. In 2024, I think it's the R34 GTR.
Ooh,
so
bro, you wanna?
Yeah. So
wait, hold on. The R34?
R34. They just became legal in the U.S.
Let me put a disclaimer. I do not represent those same values.
Just a base GTR is going to cost you a little bit over $100,000. Okay. For a 20-plus-year-old car, that I feel like when you even drive it, it's not going to be like the most overwhelming experience. Okay. You know, and obviously there's a hype. It's a very aesthetic car. I personally wouldn't mind one. But to pay six figures for a car that's going to need another $50,000 in restoration, do you find that worth it?
Oh, no.
So guys, welcome back to another, I guess, podcast. We got Gus here, and he was telling me that I guess a lot of people on your channel were saying that we got really good feedback based on.
Yeah, people liked you on my channel, bro. Definitely. Thank you for making the time.
Of course, likewise. And what are we going to be talking about today?
Want to talk business with the channel? You want tell me?
Let me get into it.
It's like the 3000 GT, right?
Okay.
Is that a car that you think is worth the money for whatever they're going for right now?
Considering they're probably one of the cheapest JDM 90s options right now, yeah, I think for the dollar you're paying for it, I think they're worth it. I think they're going to keep going up in price. Okay. But it's like essentially I find them like stock for stock, they were beating the Supras back in the day. So it's like I think it's just the fact over time is that Mitsubishi as a brand I feel like has gone downhill first of all. Two, there's not many people that are willing to modify them, and then I don't know. I think the 3000 GT just fell off, and I think that's it. You know, the price kind of shows that too, because I find it's the same era as a Supra, same build quality, same potential. Why is there such a huge gap in price? There's always like the trend factor. Social media, for example, kind of pushed. I feel like a lot of the 90s cars into like the popular trendy category, the Miatas, the 240s, Civics. I mean, you probably see it more on the Honda side. I don't know how that went, but I remember Hondas used to be like super cheap, super easy to get. Parts were super, I'm sure they're still abundant, but it's like the accessibility of one of those cars back in like 2012 to like 2015, they were being given away all the time.
Correct.
Yeah, nowadays, like, all right, you gotta actually look, you actually gotta put money, and then you still gotta spend more money to restore them to get them up to spec. So it's kind of like, it's a different game now.
Speaking of social media, how do you think social media is affecting or car community at the moment? Do you think it's helping? Do you think it's hurting? What aspects of it do you feel like it's beneficial to continue to grow or continue to stop? What do you say about that? Because I'm thinking like social media then / takeovers. That's a completely different conversation.
I think that's two different things. But I've talked about this before, and I think there's both good and bad. There's the good where you get to meet other people, you get to make friendships. Through social media. Yeah, for example, like this, we get to do this, we get to share content, we get to show the world what we're doing out here in California and in Monte. We get to show how we build our cars, we get to document everything, and we get to share it with the world. That's cool, right? Mm-hmm. Then the negative side of it is where, you have the kid fresh out of high school that just, picked up an Acura Integra, is working part-time at a pizza restaurant, and he's not making much, but he wants to modify his car just like Joe, that is already like 45, he has good income, and he built, his EK Civic, up to spec, the best wheels, the best parts, no shortcuts. And, the kid is always seeing, that car in his feed or other cars, and he starts getting like that sense of, I think it's just like a feeling of like, FOMO, like not being, like maybe he's not enough to be able to afford certain parts to be able to get his car up to spec, like he just feels behind. There's a lot of comparison. Mm-hmm. Comparison is a thief of joy, and you compare yourself to other builders. I don't know if it's happened to you or it's like other Honda guys or.
Right.
I don't know how you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the way I'm thinking about social media is it's a great tool, right? That's the reason we're able to meet and talk to people, and some people are going to be watching this from the East Coast, which is pretty wild, right?
Yeah. Worldwide, maybe you never know where.
1,000%, yeah, 1,000%. I think the negative side to social media that I personally see is the fact that everybody's like, those birds that just come and poop all over it and then they leave, meaning people are just toxic in the comment section. They're quick to just leave a negative comment, and then, but then if you're part of the group, cool, you're part of it. But if not, like, you can't even post a picture of your car anymore because people are gonna flame you. It's almost like the old school forums. I don't know if you were ever in them,
Yeah.
but I was in the forums, and even though my car now looks differently, I was always bothered by the day one where people would maybe make a negative comment towards other people that don't have the same income. Like you mentioned, little Jimmy here is working at a pizza spot. His car's gonna look different than someone who's been in the game for a bit.
Right.
And I think social media has definitely just kind of pushed that to a
bigger level.
And so much faster, because now you're able to just come in and say something negative and just kind of leave, and there's really nothing constructive about it.
Yeah.
And the other side, I'm able to follow builds from Japan, which is freaking wild. The fact that I know somebody that, well, like for instance, when I watch your videos, and I'm like, man, this is crazy that there's people like this in Tijuana that are building their cars.
Yeah.
And the Tijuana roads are not friendly. So I'm like, how the heck do you have lower cars?
Yeah.
But they're still making it out there and happening, like that's what you guys do. And it's again through the power of social media. So definitely pros and cons to both.
I agree, and it's just, where do you see it going though? Like in the future, like let's say within the next 10 years.
I don't know, man. It's like, well, VR, right? It's definitely may have some type of, impact on it. I definitely see it continuing to grow. Whether I see it continue to grow for the better in this sense, I don't know. I think we're gonna start seeing more of those rush projects, more of those big companies coming together to build better, these one-of-one cars.
Yeah.
I don't see it slowing down in the sense of like more grassroots. Therefore, there's meets that I like to go that are like very like simplistic and grassroots. Like even doing this, I pretty much like it, but social media is now made for that. If you made it up to this point, you really are a very small percentage and very unique individual who's willing to sit through this, because there's no nudity, there's no violence, there's no drama, it's so much easier to just kind of grow social media through negativity. And I think that's where the social media is going. And it's kind of hard for people to kind of not do that, because if not, they're not relevant. And that's the same thing with the car community. I feel that you really want to stand your car out, so either you go build a pretty one-of-one car, or you just kind of
lay low.
Yep.
Yeah. So what would you rather do? Would you rather document, your full builds, or would you rather just lay low, no social media, and just kind of build your car on the side and then just go to car meets here and there? Like keep it old school.
So I respect both, right? I respect both. I think I'm all for always documenting I'm sure there's somebody out there who wants to start a channel. Yeah. Like they want to be like Miguel, we all want to be like Miguel.
We're both 5 years in, no?
Yeah.
We started at the same time.
Yeah. So for sure, like start it, like document it.
Yeah.
Knowing that some people are just going to be negative to begin with. There's nothing you can do about it, and social media allows you. I think Mike Tyson made a quote about social media has made people believe that they can say whatever they want without getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
But I'm still that part of the percentage of people that says go and document, create it. Now I have a lot of OGs in the Honda game that they hardly even take pictures of their cars, and they have, very expensive, unique, one-of-one, authentic parts.
Yeah.
But they're very quiet about it. I respect those people as well.
So I've been thinking about that lately a lot too, because I feel like as you grow older, the harder it is for you to share, not just your personal life, but like for example, like with me, I don't feel like the same Miguel that was filming and documenting his Eclipse build. 5 years ago when I was way younger, when I was younger, it's like it's what I wanted to do. It's like I wanted to film everything. And now it's just kind of, I don't know, it feels a little bit different. Like I feel like as I gotten older, like I don't have the need to share everything, and I don't want to, I don't know if it's happened to you in a sense when it comes to cars. Like it's just not the same feeling as when you were younger.
Well, before I start, maybe yes, but what made you change that? What do you think, what was the shift?
I think as humans, we change what we want, and we change what we want to do, or I don't know, just like, I feel like that part of me that was always like that is not as congruent as to who I am now. It's like I'm not the same person. Obviously, you change, right?
So correct me if I'm wrong. Was it that before you were looking for validation, and now you're more kind of mature / self-confidence, that you're like, I don't need to show every little thing. I don't need the likes. I don't need the
It's partial. Yeah.
views.
At the end of the day, it is a vanity metric, and I think when we're young, I started when I was like,
Not saying that it is, but I'm just saying don't take it like it has to be a vanity metric.
but you're right. I think when we're younger, we're not as mature and we don't understand why we're doing things. Honestly, I didn't even think the whole YouTube thing was gonna work out. I just wanted to film everything. And then, yeah, obviously I had the dream because I was watching the YouTubers at the time, and I was like, oh, what if I had a YouTube channel? I want to try it. So, I was working, and then, whenever I had, time on the weekend to work on a car with my friends is when I would film, and then I would edit the YouTube videos after work or after college, and then I would just kind of just upload it, and it was just kind of like, I got in the habit of doing it. Eventually, the channel got some traction. I was like, you know what, like I could see myself doing this long term. But over time, it's like I feel like I've matured, and I'm just like, you know what, like what do I actually want to make content about? Do I actually want to film all my builds? I think, yes, I still want to build cars. There's the whole money part of it too, where it's like, sometimes we have to wait because we can't afford the parts and stuff like that. But it's just like depending on the YouTube algorithm or depending on, AdSense, as we both do this. I think you understand that aspect. It's like, how do you feel about like the YouTube space and, being an automotive YouTuber? I think it was much easier to do it back in like 2016, 2017 versus 2023, 2024. What do you think is just it? Do you think it's a lot?
And the answer in my YouTube channel, I'm kidding. Oh yeah, for sure, man. I think not to knock everybody out, but it depends on what you want to build. Yep. And that's kind of when I go back. If you start a YouTube channel today, if one, you're good, and two, you provide value, doesn't matter if it's a good value or bad value. Most of the time, the negative value will get you to the algorithm to work for you.
Yeah.
You'll grow. I'm not saying you'll be successful, because successful is very
subjective.
Subjective, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And to me, success is a very long, explanation. But you can grow a channel right now through negativity or just random weird things, and it will blow up because you're gonna attract that type of community. Is it easier? Was it easier 10 years ago, 5 years ago? Of course, there was less competition. Now things are getting more saturated. However, I still believe, like for instance, there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, where it discusses that. It says, how can you go into a space that already exists, hence Tesla, and tweak it so then you get more customers, you get different attention, you provide a different value, hence electric cars. There's always that. I mean, Amazon, eBay existed, but Amazon came through and did it differently, right? So the same thing with the YouTube channel in the automotive world. You are known for the DSMs, right? The gentleman recognized you as DSM, but you're more than that. And now with the documentaries, I like what you're doing because you're taking the time. That's a lot of work. People don't realize.
Yeah.
So that's your blue ocean strategy, which is to do something completely different that's gonna get more eyeballs. I still really think you're underrated. I still think that your subscription count is very low for the amount of work that you're doing because people don't appreciate or don't understand the level of work. But yeah, it was easier 5 years ago for sure. But at the same time, we didn't know that was a thing. It took people like yourself 5 years ago. My buddy Dana, who's been doing videos since like 17 years ago, dude. He was 15 years ago, something like that. Yeah. He's been putting in the work, and he's still underrated in the sub count, meaning while other YouTubers that just started 2-3 years ago, they're blowing up, but then you see their content and it's like, well, it's very generic.
Do you think the sub count matters? Or do you...
It does matter.
In what regard?
I think I caught myself looking at sub count more when I was starting, like the very first 2,000 subscribers, than I do now.
Yeah.
And part of it is it's cool to build a community. It's cool I would get notifications. Somebody subscribe, and it was like,
yeah.
But now, I did catch myself at chasing that number to continue to grow up. It really affects the way you do videos. Two, feeling like the video that you created was a fail if you didn't get the views that you wanted. It's just like the numbers game, man. It's a scary thing, man. It kind of ties to the social media. That's the reason why negativity will always continue to grow, because people like that. People like problems. There's a lot of podcasts out there that talk about just negativity and sexual things and drugs and this, and those get mad views. Not necessarily because it's something that's helping you grow mindset or anything like that. Yeah. It's more just because people want to get entertained, and that's a great way of getting entertained. How do you do with the sub count?
So I think I was just like you in the beginning as well. I think it was a new, like the whole YouTube thing was a new project. So every video that I made was like I was new to it, right? So I was just like, I was super focused on it, and every subscriber counted, I think, for like the first 2,000, right? And then I think the point I've reached now, it's like, I think it's better to let go of that number, and just whenever you do a video, do it as naturally and authentic as you can. Like whatever you're doing, just kind of share what you feel like sharing and put whatever you want to put out. And I think that will, in the long term, I think will attract the right audience for one, and I think it'll grow your following a lot faster versus when you're, I don't know, I think it's just like when someone cares so much about the sub count. I think once you have it, you don't care for it to an extent, because it's like to some people, what you have, what are you at, 30?
50?
Dude, you're at 50? Dude, when I was at 50, I was hyped. Imagine people that are like at 20, 10,000, 5,000. 50 to them is a huge number. So it's like...
But sadly to me, it's just...
Well, yeah.
I don't take it for granted. I don't take the individual people, but there's times that I'm like, man, only at 50? Because you start playing that in your head.
Okay, how do you think the big YouTubers feel, like the bigger ones? What are they at, like in the millions already?
Yeah, like Adam LZ, I think it's like 3 mil.
He probably feels the same way. Like I think we talked about this once. Like I wish we could have a conversation with like all the bigger guys to understand their perspective, because I feel like they've been in a position at one point in time, and I think it's like there's levels, right? And I feel like, I don't know, it's like I feel like people in our space don't really get too much support as far as like what to do or how to do it. You have to be creative and you have to post content. Like, yeah, there's certain ways you can do things, but there's really there's no one there guiding you or doing anything that kind of helps you, especially like I feel like on the mindset side of things. Like for example, I don't know if you heard about Eliminate. He shut down Eliminate basically recently.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I saw the video this morning, and he was basically talking about how, you know, what one started as a bunch of friends hanging out and making YouTube videos, which is what made him happy at the time. Eventually turned into like a money hungry business. I was selling merch here and there, and he was talking about how like, you know, he had all his friends working for him, which was really cool. But at the same time, eventually it kind of turned into something that, you know, that he just wasn't enjoying. A lot of the guys were growing up, they were doing their own thing. Everyone was kind of, and then he eventually, Randy felt alone. I don't know if you felt that with the YouTube channel.
So 2 things.
Yeah.
Randy, I started watching his videos when he was 5,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
I like the energy. I remember clearly the time that I stopped watching him was when he broke his wing on his, I think his S15.
Yeah.
S14. Yeah, S14. They went to just to do like, it was like an open track.
Yeah.
And that parking lot. And he ended up somehow smashing the wall. I don't know how. Mm-hmm. But his power 326 wing fell, and he stomped on it. He was jumping on it. He was like, haha. I think in that moment, he was maybe nervously acting like that. He then did another video the next time around, and he was like, hey guys, you know, I just want to make sure that I did get a lot of comments saying, this guy doesn't care about parts, doesn't care about blah, blah, blah. And so I do care about the parts, but I felt the same way. And I just kind of started like, I didn't like that, right? Because now he was getting more sub count.
Okay.
So the second thing, I can definitely see, I stopped watching them a long time ago, sadly, because of that. I told you in the last podcast, I like smaller YouTube channels because it's more relatable. What he's discussing is money is a great tool, but it could also be a great way to create enemies, especially within your small circle, right?
Yeah.
And if money becomes an issue, it's dangerous. The part that I like what you're doing and the part that I like is that we're discussing that we're growing slowly because you're by yourself, dude. You rolled up in your Acura, you took out your camera, you put your tripod, and you're doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pros, you're your only boss. Cons, you don't have 10 other people that can shut you out and grow your business as fast.
Yeah.
But then you don't have to run into those issues. So I digress, but have I felt lonely? Yeah, man. I think there's times where, but I'm working on that. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with being by myself.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. So, you know, at the end of the day, I understand that this is a hobby for me at least. And if people want to join, I say it, great. Once you don't get any value out of the channel, unsubscribe. I'll be the first one to say it. Like, don't waste your time, because I definitely don't want the negativity on the comment section. That's not what I do, at least.
YouTube, or what do you mean by that? Like, it's just a hobby for you, like the whole car thing, or like, is it?
YouTube is a hobby for me. And maybe I'm looking at it the wrong lens. Maybe I should be looking at it more from a business.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is, since this is not my 9 to 5, it also helps me. I mean, I would love to discuss that on my side, right? On the podcast, my podcast, on the stress level of running your business, and this being your, you know, one of your many incomes. But And for me, I guess that's what helps me kind of just be okay with it. If a video doesn't do as well as I thought, it's a hobby. The extra money is great. It pays the gas to go do the videos. I mean, I drove an hour to get here. I don't know how long you drove.
It was like an hour. Yeah.
Right? Like 1,000, 2,000 views maybe we get.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because what we're trying to do is build a business organically, meaningful. Again, 5-10 years we look back and that's why we were laughing, because my camera is acting up.
Yeah.
One day you will be able to interview those other YouTubers, the big ones, because you're gonna be one of them. You know, you just gotta be patient, because right now, like I told them off camera a while back, and I think that's what prompted us to start this.
Yeah.
These big YouTubers or celebrities, they know you exist, Miguel. They do. But sadly, your sub count is not big enough where they don't see the value of bringing you in. Maybe they feel like at the moment, they're providing you more of a value that if they bring you in, your sub count's gonna go up, while theirs doesn't. And so that's the reality. You just gotta be patient.
You think everyone's like that, or you think?
Not everybody's like that, but a lot of them. I can for a fact, one of the biggest channels that I have is my buddy Dana F and Static.
Yeah.
He's a huge Honda Civic EF dude.
Yeah.
And he has about 150,000 subscribers right now. I've been watching him for over 10 years now. Like I told, he's been at it for a long time. And he welcomed me to his home 2-3 times already, and he's giving me shout outs, so he's helped me out a lot. He knows that he's helping me more than I could even help him.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal is to, right now I do feel when I try to help other people like yourself, like, hey, you know, subscribe to the channel, I legitimately mean it. Hopefully you grow from it. But not everybody's like that, but I think majority of the people are. I mean, would you bring somebody with 500 subscribers if they say, hey, Miguel, can you give me a shout out on your platform?
If he just did it like that, no.
Correct.
Obviously, they do have to provide some value. Like, so if we're looking at like the person that wants to start a YouTube channel and, you know, it just comes up to you and be like, hey, give me a shout out, you know, I'm starting my YouTube channel.
It almost comes as very disrespectful.
Almost, yeah. It would be the type of person that I've met a couple times. I know how he is as a person. I authentically like him, how he reacts and how he talks and what he's doing. If I see that, you know, it's something that he really wants to do, and I see the passion, you know, with him or her, and of course, and I don't know, like for example, the mini documentary is like I'm just like, hey, shout yourself out, because I'm just like, dude, it's like if you get, you know, people following you because of it, then awesome, because maybe they liked your build and, you know, maybe they're related to you as a person, and, you know, everyone wins. Like, why are you kind of gatekeeping your people when at the end of the day it's just, I don't know, but it does make a difference. I have had people where it's like, hey, can you shout out my channel, this and that, and it's just like, dude, like, I think it's just like an unwritten rule. If anything, it's just like there's ways to ask and there's ways to provide a value up front without wanting anything in return. And then if the person authentically finds the want to do that for you, then I think that's good. I think that goes for anyone. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it does depend on the person. It doesn't matter if they have 1,000 subscribers or 20,000 or 100,000. Like, it's just, the number thing to me is more, it's bad because it's like, it's a vanity metric, but yeah, at the end of the day, people are gonna judge you and base your content based off the following count at the end of the day. It does make a huge difference. I pay attention
to the sub count mostly because the access. So going back to what you were saying,
yeah,
the bigger the channel is, I think that the less I have to explain what I do and what the channel's about. Mm-hmm. So previous to maybe when I had 500 or 5,000 subscribers,
yeah,
I would, you know, hey, would you mind, you know, getting interviewed? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I do this, it takes about 2 hours. This is like very explain myself, right? Now, I think people, when they see my message, and either they know me because we've been talking in car meets or we've never met, but they go to the YouTube channel like, oh, this guy's legit, you know? And then now,
it's different, right?
It's different.
People treat you based off how many followers you have.
Sadly, that's the way it is. And it's no different for a bigger YouTube channel to say, yeah, we won't bring them in. But trust me, they're aware of your cars, man. And just once you're able to provide the value that they see, then they'll bring you in. And
yeah, it's like they won't support you until they see it's popular to support you. I saw a quote recently that said that. It's like people only want to support those that they see that are also like.
It's funny you say that because it reminded, like, as soon as you said that, it reminded me, like, there was a quote or somebody said it.
Yeah.
That there's people that are rooting for you in private, but they won't say it because they're buddies who maybe have a social media account, maybe they're bigger in the car game, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't say it to you, so They just kind of, we have a lot, I guess, silent cheerleaders per se, And I've seen that where people come up to me where, hey man, I really like what you're doing, cool. I interview certain people and they don't share the channel, but why? Don't know. But then they're friends with other, YouTubers, and maybe they feel like I don't want to start providing some shout outs this way because then my buddy's going to take it personal and say.
Do you think it's because of that?
I don't know. I really don't know. It could be. It could be just. I don't know.
Okay.
But at least that's just my
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's be honest. The bigger channel you have, the more access you have. Therefore, yeah, I want to continue building the channel because then it allows me to get into different conversation, different people, different builds, without having to explain myself.
Yeah.
As much. I guess.
That's definitely a pro. Do you see yourself doing YouTube for the next 5, 10 years, 20 years?
Honestly, it's easy for me at the moment just because, like, again, it's a hobby. Like, just tomorrow's Saturday. The interview I was going to do got it canceled because of the rain.
Yeah. It's raining tomorrow? Oh, shoot, okay.
You just find out. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, bro. Come out. It's going to be wet. So the interviews are canceled. But again, since this is a side hobby, I don't mind it. So that's what allows me to keep going. Because otherwise, burnout is a real thing, man. And that's the reason I don't do the documentaries like you do. Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. They come out clean, they look amazing, but it's a lot more work. And for me, I choose to, again, grassroots, very simple, very easily. And just to be able to get a story out of it, spend 2 hours with the person, get to know a story, and that's it. Makes it easier for me to continue.
So you never ever see yourself doing YouTube full time?
30 minutes, sorry. At the beginning, I was in my phone because I wanted to put the timer, otherwise we'd go forever. Not because I was trying to be disrespectful, but that's 30 minutes. Do I see myself doing YouTube full time?
Yeah. Hey, let's say you blew it up and then...
Let me think about it. Maybe we should go into my channel now and see what I say on that.
Okay.
Shameless plug.
Catch it on his channel. I'll link it down in the description, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.